Tonight at 6, it's your Friday night sports fix. Join me and my co-host Gil Scarborough for Out of Bounds in Prime Time. 60 minutes of sports chatter with some black folks flavor. You can join us on the KBLA YouTube channel or hit us up at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's celebrate.
Y'all did it.
Loving each other, needing each other.
Hey, Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580 is turning 5, and we're celebrating in a big way.
Oh my God.
Join us Friday, June 19th, Juneteenth, 4 to 7 p.m. at the Beehive for our 5th anniversary bash and Juneteenth celebration. We're talking surprise celebrity guests, a special presentation, and a major announcement you will not want to miss.
I can't wait to hear it.
Plus, live music, dancing, games, and enough food and drink to keep the party going.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Of course, you're welcome to bring your own picnic basket, blanket, and lawn chair. And the best part, it's completely free. But here's the thing. You've got to sign up in advance. Space is limited, so don't wait. Head to KBLA1580.com right now and lock in your spot. Friday, June 19th, the Beehive, KBLA Talk 1580. 5 years strong, and we're just getting started.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Yeah, man.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Grateful for our listening audience in Los Angeles, California, New York, the city of Atlanta, Georgia, the city of Chicago, and all across our country. We are going to be running a test today, in addition to our regular programming, where we have two very special guests. Commissioner Keisha McCaskill will be joining us momentarily, along with Ted Williams in the next hour of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 833-SHOWJJJ, 833-746-9555. That's 833-746-9555. That is our live call-in number. If you are within range of my voice, I'd like to hear your voice today while we work through transitioning our program to a program that does include interaction from our audience around the country and around the world. Again, 833-746-9555. Breaking news at this hour is the resignation of Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, for reasons that she has given associated with tragic illness of her husband, who has a rare form of bone cancer. So our prayers go out to the Director of National Intelligence for the stated reasons that she has offered for her departure from the Trump administration at this time and at this hour. We are not going to lose our humanity in the midst of the key confusion and chaos that is American politics here on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and nor are we going to lose our humanity here at KBLA Talk 1580. Progressive firebrand Chris Webb has won a Democratic primary in the nation's bluest House seat. Chris Rabb, a progressive state representative and self-styled rabble-rouser, clinched the Democratic nomination Tuesday for the nation's bluest House seat. Rabb is all but guaranteed to succeed retiring Rep. Dwight Evans in Pennsylvania's 3rd District. It's a major win for the party's left flank and significant blow to the city's storied political machine, which split between two other candidates in the race. The Progressives' 5-term state lawmaker topples State Senator Sharif Street, a former state Democratic Party chair and scion of a prominent North Philadelphia political family who had the backing of much of the city's establishment. He also defeated Evans's preferred successor, Alla Stanford, a pediatric surgeon who was running for her first political campaign. The race became a microcosm of the ideological and stylistic fights roiling the party nationally and its proximity battle for Democrats' progressive and centrist wings. One of the great challenges of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 that we are going to be experiencing as these African American districts are divided into multiple districts within states. It does make it more competitive for Democrats to compete against a Republican. The problem is we lose our African American voices in Congress. And therefore, when white Democrats, for example, run for office in these more competitive districts, they tend to be called centrist. They tend to be centrist. And what it means to be a centrist is to work closely with the political opposition over and against the Democratic base. For me, having served in the Congress of the United States for 17 years, some of the most difficult challenges were not convincing Newt Gingrich or convincing Henry Hyde or convincing Tom DeLay and other Republicans in the Congress. It was convincing conservative Democrats who had just enough African Americans in their districts to get elected, but their politics catered to the conservatives in their districts in ways that they did not cater to African Americans. And that was deeply troubling, particularly if they came from a Voting Rights Act district, a district that was cleared by Section 5 when there was a preclearance provision, or a district that was constructed under Section 2 pursuant to the consideration that Democrats and Republicans where African Americans could show a history of racial discrimination, that is, segregated housing, segregated schools, that they deserved an equal opportunity of electing someone to the Congress of the United States who could speak and represent their interests. And so, Democrats are still competitive in the midterms. It just means that the Democrats at this hour are fighting for themselves and not necessarily fighting for our interests, and that's deeply troubling. I trust Benny Thompson. I trust Jim Clyburn. I trust Andre Carson in Indiana. I trust the voices of Emmanuel Cleaver in the Congress of the United States. And that is fundamentally different than me looking and trying to trust someone else with the interests of similarly situated constituents, either in Los Angeles or in the city of Chicago. That's the way the math works, and that's the way the voices change. I'm particularly proud of Congressman Jonathan Jackson, who has been holding the line on majority-minority districts. Jonathan has made it very clear that what is at stake are our voices. We can have African Americans in Congress, but their voices will not be the same. Jim Clyburn's voice matters. Benny Thompson's voice matters. Maxine Waters' voice matters. Her constituency allows her the opportunity to stand up for what is right without being political, to be clear to our history and to be true to who we are as a people. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our number is 833-746-9555, 833-746-9555. Call if you get a chance. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pacoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Deshauna Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relationship wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA.
Our guest in this hour is Dr. Kisha E. McCaskill, the current Cook County Commissioner for the 5th District. She was appointed to the role in January 10 of 2025 with the unanimous vote of committeemen and committeewomen serviced by the 5th District. Dr. McCaskill is the successor to Cook County Clerk Monica Gordon and former 5th District Commissioner Deborah Sims. Since becoming Cook County Commissioner of the 5th District, Dr. McCaskill continues to prove that she was the right choice at the right time. To date, she has successfully sponsored and co-sponsored more than 100 resolutions directly impacting our communities in the areas of public health and human services, justice and public safety, transportation and infrastructure, government administration, and economic development. Dr. Kisha McCaskill, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and Fat Meat Fridays with Miss Gina Towns. How are you? Dr. McCaskill? Dr. McCaskill will be joining us once we get over this particular technical difficulty. I'm particularly honored as we begin to speak with more local elected officials in our show, because all of these politics ultimately are local. And the idea of losing congressional seats has dominated the news. but losing state representative and state commissioner seats, as well as state representative and senatorial seats, are profoundly impacting our representation at the local level as well. And so beyond national figures on our radio show, we are going to be inviting more and more local elected officials around our country to the show to hear what Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act is doing to them and what its consequences could be in affecting local representation, not just Congress, but all the way down to the school board, because these districts, which have historically been drawn in such a way as to give us an equal opportunity of getting elected, are deeply troubling. The Supreme Court recently remanded a decision back to Mississippi, where Mississippi had a case that was stayed on the question of whether or not Section 2 could be extended to state legislative districts. And in that remand, now that Louisiana versus Clay has been decided against Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, the Supreme Court asked the state of Mississippi to now reopen that case or reconsider that case in light of the Louisiana case, which can only be interpreted to say that, yes, state representative and state legislative districts can be redrawn, which could very well end up all the way at the level of the city council. Dr. McCaskill is our very special guest at this hour. Dr. Keisha McCaskill, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you again. And yes, everything you are saying is absolutely accurate. And if I can be very transparent, I think that especially here in some of the northern areas, I believe we have fallen asleep at the wheel. And I don't believe that people really understand exactly what the impact and the implications are with regard to how this redistricting is taking place. And so myself and a few others, we've joined together to make sure that we're educating people on this. And in fact, just last Thursday, I submitted resolution to the Cook County Board on this very issue, because I want Cook County to be very committed in the process of not only making sure that people are educated, but that we're putting some pressure, to say the least, to our state government, because we're currently in a lawsuit and people aren't talking about it. So,
Dr. McCaskill, you're leaning up against a building. I need you to kind of move to the right of that building. But what I can say is, I think I need you to move to the clearing so that we can get a clearer signal. Dr. McCaskill, my question is, why do you think that there is a reluctance by the locals to talk about the Louisiana decision and its impact at the local level? Because it's increasingly clear to me that the focus is all on the Congress of the United States. It's on the speakership. It's on Hakeem Jeffries. It's on, will Mike Johnson be the speaker, or will it be a democratically controlled Congress, in light of the fact that Donald Trump needs a check and a balance with his authoritarian approach to government. We don't have an authoritarian, if you will, problem in the city of Chicago, in the city of Los Angeles, or in the state of California. Nevertheless, at some point in time, the court is going to enforce these districts and local communities that have complied with Section 2. They are going to force them to find another solution. Why is it that the locals aren't paying attention?
you know what? I believe we have a false sense of security. I believe that we are so comfortable with the fact that we are a quote unquote blue state. We're a democratic state. But I don't think that people are paying attention to the fact that the Supreme Court can overrule our comfortability. And that's what's happening right now. And that's what we're trying. And I'm out here just trying to make sure that people stay abreast, and even our elected officials, that they are aware that this is what's going on. I know that there are a lot of people that have concerns. We've seen it from the community. So our elders, our voters, they're actually watching, and they're not understanding what's going on. So I believe, and some people even say, you know, well, Dr. McCaskill, this is what you're doing is fear mongering. And I'm trying to explain to them, this is not fear mongering. This is educating, because it's actually happening. What happened with Louisiana and Clay, no one really thought that it was going to happen, but it did. And then we just had the issue with the SAVE Act, where it may be a discriminatory issue against women. And now we're dealing with what just happened in Mississippi. So it's happening. And even here in Illinois, again, we have a lawsuit here where there's pressure regarding those same districts that we've been talking about, 1, 2, 4, and 7. So it's going to be imperative that even if it's just those particular districts, but someone has to start speaking up on the issue before we're hit with it and we're unprepared.
You know, even in the state of Illinois, when you talk about districts 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 7th, changing any one of those districts changes the districts of the entire state. It's impossible to draw a congressional district where population is divided amongst the reapportionment plan given to the states by the government when we divide 435 members of Congress based upon where people have moved, where they live. Some states have lost population, some states have gained population. Some states can actually lose a congressional representative under an reapportionment plan. Other states where the population is growing can actually gain a congressional representative. And that has nothing to do with redistricting. That's just a function of the census count and the reapportionment. But when you add to it the Voting Rights Act and diminished population, redrawing a single congressional district in a state changes the lines of the entire state. Redrawing a single state representative district changes the lines of an entire state. That's a fact.
And I believe that's where we should start pushing. I believe that's where the elected officials are going to need to come together and draw the line and get with our governor and say, look, we're not even willing to even consider this. And these are the reasons why. Because it's already, we've already been put in a position historically where we were not giving and given the resources and services that we actually needed for our districts. Redistricting could actually take away what little we have achieved in these years. So my issue is making sure that our elected officials are actually holding people accountable for making sure that decisions are not made that are not transparent, because people need to know that there's a lawsuit going on. People need to know where we are in that lawsuit and how they're going to be impacted, because redistricting doesn't just address the boundaries of an area. It's going to impact everything from how you run your household to businesses. It is something that warrants being concerned.
Commissioner, I think that one of the things that I've been challenging people to also understand is this is not just a short-term show or short-term contest. When you reflect upon the idea that this midterm redistricting process is part of it, but then there's another redistricting opportunity in 2028 because of the national election. There is the census in 2030. There is the reapportionment plan in 2032. And therefore, the chances that this fight over redistricting and congressional seats could be done over a very, very long period of time. Not only will it be expensive, but it will be a gradual reduction in the changing of lines. People will go to a polling place looking for a member of Congress, looking for a state senator, looking for a state representative, only to find out they are no longer in that representative district. Or they may find out that their representative doesn't look like them, doesn't speak like them, doesn't understand their issues, and they no longer have a state representative office that's around the corner from their homes. It may be in a suburban area or downstate somewhere, because the district has been drawn to include multiple counties to accomplish a state representative district.
I completely agree. I will make it even simplified. When we look at the representation of state government, when you look at all of the higher level positions that have been taken out of the Chicago area and placed down in Springfield, while it's not a bad thing, because I know that people want to be closer to where that particular work is, it takes the resource out of the community. So I try to make it as simple as possible. I try to provide people with examples so they will understand that it all is about accountability and representation. So when you begin to move things, you have to think about what level of resource, services, and representation that also moves with that thing. So as they move the lines, what are we losing? And so I'm working with Sisters Who Lead, and we're also working with NAACP, Chicago Far South chapter. And those are some of the things that we're discussing. What should be the action items to get us prepared? And you mentioned the census, because a lot of people don't fill out the census report. So we're going to be pushing to fill out the census. We are going to continue to push voting rights, but there needs in voting, but and registration for voting, but there has to be a much more succinct movement of galvanizing people to actually go vote. Because when we're looking at the 22 million Black voters across the nation, only 65% are voting. So we need to get that number up. And again, I believe it's just right now, people are really comfortable being able to say to Illinois, we're a blue state. We're a Democratic state. Nothing's going to happen. But I want them to at least be educated on it so that they can begin to prepare for it in the event that something does happen.
Barbara Jean, Lynette Purple, Angel Alexander, Elretha Perkins, Darlene Patterson, Quincy Alexander. Call me at 833-746-9555. I'm in conversation with Dr. Kisha McCaskill. 833-746-9555. 833-SHOW, SHOWJJJ on your dial. You're helping me today own the technology that allows us to move part of our show to call in. And if you don't call in, I'll never know if the technology works, and we'll have to have another day where we practice using the technology and working out any of the kinks. The number again is 833-746-9555. Dr. McCaskill, I hear you saying that it's going to take a big education campaign in order to get our people to understand that just because they are from a blue state, that this decision does impact them. They are not isolated or protected by being blue. Cook County is blue, but there are dozens of counties in the state of Illinois that are not blue. And Donald Trump argues, and I think the court heard his argument, that he earned 40% of the vote in the state of Illinois. He believes that he is entitled to 40% of the United States congressmen in the state of Illinois. And then they made the argument that the Voting Rights Act is a factor in why those districts should be added to the pile of competitive districts, regardless of who the race of the people are, so that they can have an equal opportunity of electing MAGA Black Republicans in the state of Illinois. This is a matter of grave concern, isn't it, Dr. McCaskill?
I agree. I thought it was laughable just a couple days ago, having the conversation with a person that tried to liken what happened in Louisiana to the fact that they do have a Black Republican that is going to be moving into that space. I believe that's a lot of what you call placating, where they identify someone that looks like you, but that does not represent you, and they are okay with that. But I believe this time that people that are passionate and people that are compassionate about Black people, whether they're Black or not, I believe this in this era and in this time, it's going to look a lot different. I believe that just having Black faces in high places, those days are over, and that our expectation is different. And there are enough of us out here that are willing to make sure that something different happens.
Dr. McCaskill, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We are working out the kinks, but we hope to talk to you soon. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580, and we'll see you right after the break.
After nearly 20 years in Congress, he knows how to get at the issues that matter the most to you. Every day, he takes a deep dive into politics, social justice, and the stories that shape our community. This is where prominent people unpack perplexing problems. Unfiltered, unapologetic, unmissable. You're inside the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Chicago officials are rolling out their summer safety plan as beaches open today. Black Mayor Brandon Johnson says the city will work with community partners to provide jobs and safe spaces for young people.
I'm going to speak to as many children as I possibly can to let them know that these unauthorized gatherings can be reckless and dangerous.
Black Police Superintendent Larry Snelling says officers will monitor teen takeovers, social media, and youth safety. 6 Black former Edward Jones financial advisors are suing the firm for racial discrimination. The federal lawsuit claims white advisors received higher salaries and better client opportunities. Edward Jones denies the allegation, saying they do not reflect the company's values or how it operates. And the Black Cemetery Network is holding a conference in Florida on saving forgotten Black cemeteries. Speakers say many historic burial grounds are being erased by development. The conference wraps Friday. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Recall 67A mobile appointments are now available in your area. We come to you quick, easy, and under an hour. Complete the recall to get $500 plus a warranty worth thousands. Schedule today at CumminsRecall.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Former Clippers guard James Harden wanted to be traded to a contender, and he got his wish when the Clippers sent him to Cleveland in February. Harden is in the Eastern Conference Finals with Cleveland, but the 36-year-old veteran has not looked good. In the first two games against New York, Harden has made only 11 of 35 shots, including 4 of 15 on three-pointers. His defense also has looked shaky. Harden was torched in the fourth quarter of Game 1 by Jalen Brunson, who scored 13 of his 38 in the final 7 minutes. All of those points came when Harden was trying to defend Brunson. The Cavs need a revival from Harden in Game 3 Saturday in Cleveland. Tonight at 6, it's your Friday Night Sports Fix. Join me and my co-host Gil Scarborough for Out of Bounds in Prime Time. 60 minutes of sports chatter with some Black folks flavor. You can join us on the KBLA YouTube channel or hit us up at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
You have something to say, and we want to hear it. KBLA Talk 1580 is engagement radio, not outrage radio. A place where your hopes, your frustrations, and your ideas are welcome 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Real talk, real people, real Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580, the station that sounds like the city looks. Tune in on your AM radio dial at 1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
Going to a World Cup match in LA this summer? Ditch the parking stress and ride Metro. With direct service from across LA County, it's the easy way to get there for just $1.75 each way.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The BLM Center for Black Power is a hub for Black activism in the city of Los Angeles, a standalone nonprofit affiliated with Black Lives Matter LA. The venue is home to live events, meetings, and organizing drives for Black-led community-based organizations. It is also the base of operations for Black Lives Matter LA. Built on what used to be a nuisance property owned by an arms dealer, the BLM Center for Black Power is in the heart of Leimert Park and has opened its doors to everything from youth organizers to toy drives to film screenings and community town hall meetings. To make a donation or make a request, please visit blmla.org. That's blmla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Kisha McCaskill is a proponent for education. She holds doctorate degrees in public service administration and organizational leadership from Capella University, a master's degree in human service administration specializing in public policy from Spertus Jewish Institute, and a bachelor's degree in psychology and sociology from Western Illinois University with a minor in African American Studies. Dr. McCaskill, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and thank you for being our guest on this Fat Meat Friday. Dr. McCaskill will be with us momentarily. In the meantime, we do have a caller on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and Dr. McCaskill, after I ask another question about the impact of representatives at other counties around the country that you've been in contact with, are they sharing, Dr. McCaskill, similar concerns?
Yeah. There is no volume.
Dr. McCaskill? Okay, why don't we take that call? I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. Can you hear me, sir?
I certainly can hear you, and congratulations. You're the first caller ever in the history of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Thank you very much for calling in.
I am thrilled. I am thrilled to hear that, and I just want to, before I start, make sure that you and your listeners can hear me just fine.
We can hear you just fine. Thank you for understanding the technical difficulty. We're good. Go ahead.
I am wanting to, if I can just first, please, I just really want to share with you that I am praying and blessings to your family. I met Jesse Jackson Jr. I met Jesse Jackson in 1990 as an 18-year-old high school student going to college. And he was at the Los Angeles Coliseum, I believe, with the release of Nelson Mandela. And I happened to be standing there. That's the day before we had selfies and all that. And I had my little pocket Vivitar camera, and it fell on the floor, and I picked it up and I said, "Oh, how stupid." And he immediately said to me, "Never say that. You are somebody. Don't ever say that." And at that moment, he empowered me and my voice, and I have been active ever since.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. What's your question?
Yes, I've acted ever since, and I very much appreciate that. I am calling today, Jesse Jackson Jr., because I listened to your show. I don't think I missed any. And it's not just you, it's also all your guests, and it's also Gina. And what I would say right now through this call, and I'm grateful for being the first caller, is that I am challenging us, all of us collectively as Black people, to show a little willpower. Where's the courage that King and Malcolm X demonstrated and planted in us? Where's the hope alive that Jesse Jackson gave us as I am somebody? Those Blacks in elected office must now demonstrate a little willpower to expect us to continue to cast a vote their way. We are at a point now where everyone must be active. And I'm very concerned about this roaring silence. Silence is betrayal to me.
Sherry,
and I feel like this is a time.
Sherry, thank you very much.
I'm here.
Hold on one second. Let me ask you a question. There have been marches. There was a big march in Alabama the other week. We have been seeing the No Kings marches. There has been a response. The gentlemen in the state of Tennessee, both Justin Jones, Justin Johnson, citizens have been showing up, challenging what's been taking place in the state of Tennessee. And so there is an activity taking place. It may not be, as Johnny Mack, who's on our show regularly on Thursdays, says, that it may not be just a single voice, a Malcolm, a Martin, a Jesse, but that the people themselves are moving. Can you make, Sherry, that distinction for Dr. McCaskill and I, that there is an activity that is taking place?
I would say yes. I think my point of view is that none of us of the culture has a moment to sit out unless you're absolutely unable to. I think the floodgate should be there. I think the culture collectively, because to me, if you're my kind is progressive. My kind is people building. My kind is showing a little willpower. And I just think that it should be an overflood. And I'd like to see more of it.
Thank you, Sherry. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and I'm very grateful to Sherry for being the first call-in to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. That is much evidence that our technology is working. Dr. McCaskill, Sherry Lewis just called in, and she said that she'd like to see more activity in the streets, more activity and around the issues that are confronting us at this hour. Dr. McCaskill, your thoughts?
You know what? I want to thank Sherry for her comments. And I think that is a little bit of the issue. So depending on where she lives, if she's in the southern region, that's where you're starting to see a lot more of the galvanizing and the outpouring of reaction and the proactivity and what do we do to move this thing forward so that it doesn't continue to happen. But if you live up north, that's where I believe our residents, the frustration is beginning to set in because they're not seeing the movement. And again, I believe that's because people are so comfortable with the fact that nothing's going to happen to us because we are a blue state or we do live further north and we do have relationships, but this is much bigger. And what I do caution people to, while we want to continue to honor Malcolm and King and Jackson, and we're going to continue to uplift them. The goal was never for it to be one person. They took a coalition. So it's going to take a lot of us, and that includes Miss Berry, to speak with her neighbors and to begin to have those kitchen table conversations so that they can continue to build and we can grow this thing nationwide.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Today is the day that we are running our test for our show and call-ins. 833-746-9555. That's 833-746-9555 or 833-SHOW, SHOWJJJ. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Our very special guest in this hour is Dr. Kisha McCaskill. We do have a live line that has several people on hold. We will be going to the break in just about a little under a minute. So I want to give you an opportunity to ask your questions when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. But I got to be honest with you, I am excited that at least the technology is showing an operational capacity to receive your calls. Calls we can accept by way of 833. That is a toll-free number, 833-746-9555. It is a toll-free number. It's not costing you anything to make the call. And I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful that that LaDonna Ray has been here as a consultant helping us get the technology right. I'm so grateful to our producer and executive producer and creator, Gina Towns, for Fat Meat Friday and advancing the idea that we have an interactive program for more participation. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I've been an emergency room nurse in Los Angeles County for 25 years. I've been there through every fire season, every outbreak, every earthquake. Every time Los Angeles needed us, the doctors and nurses of Los Angeles County showed up. And right now, I'm seeing another disaster coming. Trump's cuts to Los Angeles County's healthcare system are a public health crisis in the making. Medi-Cal, public hospitals, disaster preparedness are all at risk, but we can stop it. Measure ER fights back against these cuts. For a half a penny, we keep emergency rooms open, care within reach for working families, and doctors and nurses serving the communities we love. When you vote yes on Measure ER, you're not just voting for healthcare, you're voting for LA. Vote yes on Measure ER by June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Yes on ER, Restore Healthcare for Angelenos, sponsored by St. John's Community Health and Health Justice Action Fund. Ad committee top funder, St. John's Community Health.
Hey, LA County, it's time to vote. Return your ballot early at any official ballot drop box. Visit plan.lavote.gov to make your voting plan today. Brought to you by the Los Angeles County Registrar.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction.
Backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for State Superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
What if your rooftop could earn you money every year? With LADWP's Solar Rooftops program, you can get solar panels installed and maintained on your home at no cost and earn up to $900 a year. That's up to $18,000 over 20 years. There are no upfront costs, no credit checks, and no annual fees. Plus, you'll help power Los Angeles with clean local solar energy and reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Make your rooftop work for you. Apply today at ladwp.com/solar rooftops.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest in this hour is none other than Dr. Kisha McCaskill. She's becoming Cook County's Commissioner of the 5th District. Dr. McCaskill continues to prove that she was most definitely the right choice at the right time. She's one of the most influential and thoughtful elected officials and super qualified elected officials to articulate where we are, the time and the space that we find ourselves in. And I'm so grateful that Dr. McCaskill is our very special guest in this hour. Welcome forward, Dr. McCaskill, to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. And our phone number is 833-746-9555. 833-746-9555. 833-SHOW. SHOW. I want to welcome and thank Sherry for calling in earlier. She was calling from Los Angeles, California. On the live line is another caller from Indianapolis, Indiana. And I think I'm going to bring that caller forward right now. Hi, you're on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Hi, Jesse Jackson Jr.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Great, thank you.
This is Lynette Alexander.
Hi, Lynette Purple Alexander. I see you over here in the chat.
My question to you first, let me say thank you for all you do, and thank you and please continue being a voice for the voices that are currently being silent. But my question to you would be, with the up and coming voters, the young voters, I'm hearing a lot of conversation about getting them out to vote. My question to you would be, what is the conversation we should have with them to get them excited and ready to cast their first ballot?
I appreciate that, Lynette. I think there are two categories. One is the idea of hope. There's a lot to be hopeful for if we do engage the system. And I could spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours on the question of hope. That, in short, that which inspires people to vote. And then, of course, there's the other side of that, that if we don't vote, that's the negative. The consequences of what the President of the United States, this administration, is presently doing is so deleterious and hurtful to your future that the consequences for your not participating are so extraordinary that you may not imagine them in the present, but you may come to terms with them at an hour and at a time where people have no choice but to make the adjustments to what the negative aspects of the administration have been done. And that's kind of what I meant, Lynette, when I talked about the graduating class of 2012, which graduated in 2016. The 8th grade graduation class was born in 2012. The 18-year-olds were born in 2008 when Barack Obama became president, and they were hopeful. And then the baccalaureate class, those who received their college degrees this past May in various graduating ceremonies across the country, they were born in 2004. And when you look at the graduating class of 2026, the world that they are all walking into is a fundamentally different world than the world they entered when they were born. And Bakari Sellers probably said it best. This is going to be the first generation of African Americans who will probably not do better than their parents did. And that ought to be plenty of encouragement enough to right-size your expectations, but also to engage in the kinds of social justice struggles that your parents engaged in to make this moment possible. Dr. McCaskill?
I apologize. I agree wholeheartedly. We are living in the right now, and for each of those generations and even those existing, it is about you. So the excitement has to be in the individual. It is an independent hope that you want for, even if it's just wanting for your family to be more prosperous or have access. It is a you opportunity. Having hope is just not going to be enough. It's going to be hope, and it's going to be work, and it's going to be you. And so it's going to require every individual, whatever your agenda is for your life, that is what needs to be your incentive to get involved in this process.
I appreciate that very much. Our first call came from Los Angeles, California. Our second call came from Indianapolis, Indiana. If you're calling the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and we certainly appreciate hearing from you today, 833-746-9555. That's 833, a toll-free call, 833-746-9555. That allows us to get some sense of the breadth and depth of the show, what you think of the show, what you think of the work that we are doing to try and galvanize all Americans at this hour to do exactly what our previous caller said, to be inspired, to be motivated, to go out and vote, and to do something about what the nation and what our communities are confronting at this hour. Dr. McCaskill, how do you talk, and when do you talk to other county officials from around the country and hear what's going on and what's taking place? Are they feeling the same kind of angst, if you will, that you've been experiencing and you've been witnessing as well?
Yes, actually, we just had the NOBCO conference, which is the National Organization of Black County Officials. And we had that conference about 2 weeks ago. And this was the topic of conversation. and everyone is trying to figure out how do we move in such a way that it actually makes impact, but more importantly, how we get our young people involved in the process so that they can join us in making the difference. And so everyone's concerned about it. I think at this point, it's a matter of how we come together on one accord so that everyone's not doing something differently, but that we're looking the same as we move. Because when you have too many agendas going on at once, that tends to disenfranchise people. So we're looking at one thing that we all had in common is that we know that there is an education gap that we must fill. And as elected officials, there's an obligation and a fiduciary responsibility for us to make sure we're out here educated. So that's one. But like our Alabama counterparts, they're on top of it. When we say they're galvanizing, they are not only galvanizing, but they are actually involved, they're engaged, and they're in the communities. The other thing we agreed is that we need to bring our foundational principles, our churches, back into this process. We need our clergy back on the street evangelizing, not just in the homes, but making sure that the church is also educating people on what's going on in the neighborhood and they understand. We all agreed that one thing that has happened that has it's been a somewhat of a disservice to people is that when everything began to go to streaming, a lot of people don't have access to the news unless they purposely go looking for the news. Because everything is covered with streaming sites. So we want to make sure that we're out here and we're visible. So we're just looking for how each community, even if they're in Alabama, Texas, Tennessee, or if they're all the way over in North Carolina, South Carolina, there has to be an alignment of how Black elected officials are moving.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Dr. McCaskill, we have about 2 minutes before we come forward. I hope that you'll be able to hang with us part of the next hour. But either way, I always ask our guests in the first hour to offer a word of hope. We have about 2 minutes. Can you offer the nation a word of hope?
You know, I really thank you for that. And I appreciate you having me on. This is an extremely important topic. I want people to understand that it's not over. The Selma marches, all of the disenfranchisement that we have gone through, 1964 will not be in vain. 1965 will not be overturned. We will continue to fight, but it's going to take all of us. We cannot be complacent waiting for another Martin or another Jackson or another Malcolm. It's going to take all of us to take the foundations and the principles that they left us with and continue those legacies, and we must continue to fight. As John Lewis said, we need to get into some good trouble. We need to make sure that people are educated, and we need to make sure that we're in front of the line and not waiting for someone to come and get us.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest in this hour has been none other than Dr. Kisha McCaskill. She'll be joining us hopefully in the next hour, along with Dr. Ted Williams III, who is an educator, actor, and author who teaches political sciences at the City of Chicago colleges of the City of Chicago. He is a graduate of the University of Chicago, Rutgers University, and Northern Seminary. He is acting credits include NBC's Chicago PD, Showtime's The Chi, various films, plays, and commercials for companies including Empire Carpet, Cheerios, and Subway. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Chicago officials are rolling out their summer safety plan as beaches open today. Black Mayor Brandon Johnson says the city will work with community partners to provide jobs and safe spaces for young people.
I'm going to speak to as many children as I possibly can to let them know that these unauthorized gatherings can be reckless and dangerous.
Black Police Superintendent Larry Snelling says officers will monitor teen takeovers, social media, and youth safety. 6 Black former Edward Jones financial advisors are suing the firm for racial discrimination. The federal lawsuit claims white advisors received higher salaries and better client opportunities. Edward Jones denies the allegation, saying they do not reflect the company's values or how it operates. And the Black Cemetery Network is holding a conference in Florida on saving forgotten Black cemeteries. Speakers say many historic burial grounds are being erased by development. The conference wraps Friday. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Recall 67A mobile appointments are now available in your area. We come to you quick, easy, and under an hour. Complete the recall to get $500 plus a warranty worth thousands. Schedule today at CumminsRecall.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Former Clippers guard James Harden wanted to be traded to a contender, and he got his wish when the Clippers sent him to Cleveland in February. Harden is in the Eastern Conference Finals with Cleveland, but the 36-year-old veteran has not looked good. In the first two games against New York, Harden has made only 11 of 35 shots, including 4 of 15 on three-pointers. His defense also has looked shaky. Harden was torched in the fourth quarter of Game 1 by Jalen Brunson, who scored 13 of his 38 in the final 7 minutes. All of those points came when Harden was trying to defend Brunson. The Cavs need a revival from Harden in Game 3 Saturday in Cleveland. Tonight at 6, it's your Friday night sports fix. Join me and my co-host Gil Scarborough for Out of Bounds in Prime Time. 60 minutes of sports chatter with some black folks flavor. You can join us on the KBLA YouTube channel or hit us up at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's celebrate.
Y'all did it.
Loving each other, needing each other.
Hey, Los Angeles, KBLA Talk 1580 is turning 5, and we're celebrating in a big way.
Oh my God.
Join us Friday, June 19th, Juneteenth, 4 to 7 p.m. at the Beehive for our 5th anniversary bash and Juneteenth celebration. We're talking surprise celebrity guests, a special presentation, and a major announcement you will not want to miss.
I can't wait to hear it.
Plus, live music, dancing, games, and enough food and drink to keep the party going.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Of course, you're welcome to bring your own picnic basket, blanket, and lawn chair. And the best part, it's completely free. But here's the thing. You've got to sign up in advance. Space is limited, so don't wait. Head to KBLA1580.com right now and lock in your spot. Friday, June 19th, The Beehive, KBLA Talk 1580. 5 years strong, and we're just getting started.
Happy anniversary, KBLA! Yeah, man.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. In the last hour, Dr. Kisha McCaskill, Cook County Commissioner, 5th District, appointed to the role in January of 2025, has shown herself to be one of the most capable elected officials in the country. She holds a doctorate degree in public service administration and organizational leadership from Kapala University, a master's degree in human services administration specializing in public policy from Spertus Jewish Institute, and a bachelor's degree in psychology and sociology from Western Illinois University with a minor in African American studies. And joining us in this hour is none other than Dr. Ted Williams III, an educator, actor, author who teaches political science at the City Colleges in Chicago. He's a graduate of the University of Chicago, Rutgers University, and Northern Seminary. His acting credits include Showtime, The Chi, various films. He's the author of a number of books, including Christianity, Politics, and the Future of the African American Community. Dr. Williams, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. And Dr. McCaskill, welcome back. Dr. Williams, a question for you. So much has been discussed over the course of these few weeks since the Louisiana case has been decided. Dr. McCaskill sharpens the pencil for us and shows us that it's not just the Congress of the United States that's affected by the decision, but she's hearing from county officials across the country who are also concerned about their seats. They're concerned about the construction of the communities and the voices that they have at the county level. And as you well know, the remand from the Mississippi case recently that offered a stay on the question of state representative and state legislative districts, the Supreme Court returned that decision to the lower court, saying in light of Calais, reconsider the decision to draw districts consistent with Section 2. Dr. Williams, welcome to the conversation. Interested at this stage in your thoughts.
Thank you so much for having me. I can tell you, my brother, that this has been such a disappointing season in our political atmosphere. And yet, as all of us talk about very often on this show, we must, as your father said, keep hope alive. We must be people of faith, hope, and love, and decide that we are going to look forward and not backwards. What this has done for me is it has ignited something inside of me deeply around these questions of equality in this country. I grew up in the 80s primarily, and thought that, as Dr. King sang, "We shall overcome," in the civil rights movement, so many people were singing that song. I thought that we'd overcome, that we had gotten further than we actually had. It has made me more vigilant. It has made me more committed to teaching my students what it is that the right to vote means to people. And it's also made me think about larger questions around how we even create districts to represent people in this country, period. Gerrymandering as a whole is problematic. And I think that this is a moment where we do use the tools that have been used against us to fight back. However, we must ask larger questions about our democracy in this 250-year anniversary. Why do politicians get to pick voters and not voters picking politicians through the districts? This is a question I care deeply about right now.
You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our number is 833-746-9555. 833-746-9555. 833-SHOW JJJ. Dr. Keisha McCaskill is our very special guest in this hour, and so is Dr. Ted Williams.
Hi, Ted. Hi, Dr. McCaskill. Dr. McCaskill, in the last segment, or yes, in our first hour in the last segment, you mentioned that people have accused you of fear mongering. And, you know, we kind of just ran past that. You talked about what was going on in the South as being one set of circumstances because of the historical precedent that exists there. But how about the North? And that was the term that you used about you trying to spread the word and talk about, you even had a town hall meeting, if you will, and Jesse came and spoke to actually give some light to this whole idea of the Louisiana versus Calais case that he started talking about almost a year ago in the district as he was educating people during his run for Congress. Can you talk a little bit about the idea of people feeling like this is fear mongering versus reality?
Again, thank you for that, Gina. And thank you again, Jesse, for having me. And that is a reality. There are people, we have a great number of people in our own communities that are very comfortable and feel that right now what's happening, what they're seeing is not a us problem. It's a down south problem. Let me put it that way. It's a they problem. And so I even try to liken it to the fact that you have relatives that are down south. You have people here that migrated from down south and relocated from down south. So we're all interconnected, whether it's impacting you directly right now or not. And we've just become so complacent and so comfortable with we're going to be okay because we're a democratic state. And even in trying to educate at the county board meeting last week, the people that were there that were upset about my comments and my speaking on Resolution 4, Cook County to be more committed to being more forward in this national situation. The concern was that by saying this, you're making it seem as though people don't have the right to vote. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying
Dr.
is
McCaskill, we're going to pick up on this point when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. I am fascinated by the idea that Negroes up north, just because there's slavery in the South, don't think this thing can spread. That right there has to be tickled almost to death to a sadness. More when we come back on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pacoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Looking forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest in this hour is none other than I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. And by the way, when you all hear me sometimes say that twice, it's because the producer says I'm muted. And sometimes I'm not muted. You might hear me say it 2 or 3 times. But we are getting our signals crossed sometimes here at Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We'll be just fine, though. Our number is 833-746-9555. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Listening to us on the KBLA Talk 1580 Our very special guest, Dr. Kisha McCaskill, the Cook County Commissioner and one of the up-and-coming leaders in our community in the great struggle to protect our Voting Rights Act, Dr. Ted Williams. Dr. Williams is a political scientist, an educator, an actor, an author, and simply a voice that has to be heard in this hour. And enormous and great respect. Let me ask Dr. McCaskill on this question of representation. And some feedback. Let me ask you on this question of representation. We had a state representative on the phone on the show a few weeks ago, and this state representative was concerned about a district or two in their respective jurisdiction that might comply with the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and therefore that was the concern that official Dr. Williams actually had. And I feel like on our show, I broke the news to them that no, it's not just that one state representative or state official. It's all of the state representatives and state senators in your state that will be impacted by the striking down or the adjustments to Section 2 and the Voting Rights Act. In fact, Dr. Williams, Black Voters Matter, says that 191 of 800 African-American state representatives and state senators could also lose their positions as a result of Louisiana versus Clay. This is coming all the way down the dog catcher, Dr. Williams.
It is. And I think there is a intentional ignorance around these questions that people attempt to look at these decisions as neutral on their face, and they are not. And we know that we understand legally that not only is the intention of the action being racist problematic, but we understand that the result of these actions being racist is problematic and illegal as well. And this is what those who are feigning neutrality on the right and on the center don't understand, that whether the law is intentionally has the effect or impact of racism does not matter. What matters is that it has the outcome of removing representation that people have fought so hard for. And that, to me, at the end of the day, is what this all comes down to. And so we recognize that our voting rights are under assault in a way that I have not seen in my entire lifetime. And it's time for us to wake up.
What does that mean, Ted? Wake up. We got marches taking place in Alabama, marches taking place in Tennessee. We've got marches taking place, no King's marches. It means, at least from my perspective, that obviously 18-year-olds need to start registering and voting. Donald Trump said what? That they need to register for the draft. It means that we have to engage the primaries in a way that we've never engaged them before.
Yeah, I will tell you this. I had the great privilege last night of speaking to a group of Americans of European descent, white folks who are allies in the city of Chicago, doing a presentation on this question of civic engagement and how we go forward. And I can tell you this, that after sitting in a room of folks who were not directly affected by this, who have the heart to do something about it, I realize that waking up means that those who are on the sidelines, who are not directly impacted, who may or may not lose their particular representative, they have to stand up too. There is not a space in this current democratic time that we're in where we have a person to waste. This is what waking up means for me. It means not just being involved in voter registration, but also being involved in voter education. We recognize that it's not just enough to participate in the democratic process. We have to know what it is that we're doing. We have to be aware of who our state reps are, who our state senators are, who our Cook County commissioners are. And we have to do the hard work of making sure that we are voting with intelligence and not playing a sophisticated game of eeny, meeny, miny, mo, which happens oftentimes. We have a low voter turnout, under 25% for midterm elections in a city like Chicago. And then on top of that, we have a lot of ignorance when it comes to the political process because it is complicated for a lot of people and it takes time. For me, waking up means this: we cannot do politics as usual. We cannot have business as usual. This, as they always say, brother Jesse, as we always say, this is the most important election of our lifetime. I think this one really is.
Dr. McCaskill?
No, I completely agree. What we're dealing with now is people who have become politically exhausted. And we are going to need to reinvigorate our voting base and get them back involved. I remember a time when you couldn't sit in your house or in a kitchen table if you did not vote. You were required by family to vote, and we need to get back to that. And the other thing, and I think Ted said it best, we have people that are not of African American descent or African descent that want to be involved in this process, and they need to be involved in the process because their democracy is the way that it is, and their access and livelihood is because of who we are and what our ancestors put down. And so they need to be a part of the process that allows them to live the way that they live. And I believe some of them understand that, and that's why they want to be a part of it. But I bring it back home to us, this level of civic engagement that Ted is speaking about and the civic education, we need to demand it. And I'm hoping that our elected officials will even begin to demand that it goes back into the schools, because by not having that education there, our youth, specifically Black youth, are missing out.
I agree with you, Dr. McCaskill. Let me just share with you this, Dr. Williams and Dr. McCaskill. For every corresponding African American that we lose in the Congress of the United States, there is a corresponding electoral vote that is also in play that's counted towards the 270 necessary to become president of the United States. And so if you eliminate the district of Benny Thompson, and let's say there are four members of Congress in the state of Mississippi, maybe 5, there should be 2 African Americans in that state. And I know that's the case in Alabama. If you eliminate the Shamari Figures District, the state of Alabama creates a district or an additional district that corresponds to an electoral vote where African American cannot win, but can in effect contribute to a right-wing conservative MAGA majority in the Congress at the electoral count. So if you knock out 19 majority minority districts from Virginia around to Texas under the Clay decision, and you are not successful with the very high turnout that we know we need to engage, that we know needs to happen, to your point, Dr. Williams, the most important election of our lifetimes. Yes. The reality is conservatives develop a tight hold, potentially, on the presidency of the United States, which is equally as troubling as losing control or not regaining control of the Congress of the United States. Dr. Williams? You see the logic I offer?
Absolutely. And it is terrifying as you describe it, my brother. And, it requires, I believe, faith. I look at this and I go, my goodness, how do we deal with this without some divine connection, looking at what we are dealing with, things that we cannot see. We're hoping, right? The substance and evidence of things. We got to have faith. We have to be able to see beyond this. But let me say this to you. Truth will prevail. MAGA will not win. What will happen is MAGA will destroy itself. And I think what you're seeing, the beauty of what you're seeing, is that those who have supported these cruel policies of the president, these ignorant and capricious policies of the president, they're suffering right now too. And the more that they have power, the more they have access, the more they will suffer. This idea that we would have almost a $2 billion slush fund for people who were convicted of trying to overthrow an American election is appalling to even those who are on the right, who are at some level, have some level of decency and good conscience. And I think that outside of this president, by the way, there is no MAGA movement without him. There is no coalition. They have tried to pass the baton on to someone else. So we have to be vigilant. We know that this too shall pass. We understand that we got to buckle down. It's like a storm, y'all. We got to buckle down, lock the windows, get some food. We got to get ready. We got to keep fighting, obviously, on these issues. But we know that this thing will not be forever. Trouble don't last always. And so I do not think there is a future in MAGA without the current president. And the reality is that even for him, his coalition and his support is faltering, and we have to take advantage of it at every point.
Ted, I know that the Senate left town without honoring the president's request, and likely the House of Representatives will probably honor Donald Trump's $1.8 billion request for a slush fund to award MAGA members. I'm wondering, Dr. McCaskill, in this moment, and I've shared and talked about it all week, we have for decades been fighting for reparations as African Americans, and we've been told to go to Congress and get them to join studies and legislation to get official reports from the government on what's due us as a people. I'm wondering if Donald Trump has actually accidentally showed us a path to demand of whoever the Democratic president is that they start writing our check. And if they can write us a check without congressional accountability, we are one step closer to reparations. Is it too much to ask, Dr. McCaskill, of the Democratic Party to advance the idea, well, if they are successful in creating a slush fund, that a fund for those who've been truly harmed by the precarious institution, the peculiar institution of slavery and their descendants, that they should be written a check as well?
Absolutely. I wouldn't even want to call it a slush fund. It's an entitlement fund. We're entitled to it. We have, it's not something that we're going to receive by accident. When you begin to look at the fabric of America, it is because of Black people. And it amazes me that the same people that vote on these slush funds that come from these more affluent families, that they see how they got to where they are, yet they still don't want to recognize the contribution of Black people and don't want to make good on that. You know, I'll tell you, I'm so sick of studies. No offense, Dr. Williams. But I don't want another study. You know, we've had enough studies to know that not only is it something that is necessary, but it's going to happen. And the thing is, we've seen it happen before, from everything from Tulsa to Black Wall Street. We've seen what happens when Black people are put in position where their economic engine can actually function well. We've been oppressed to the point that it's okay for us to live in communities where we don't have, and we're used to not having, and so we don't say anything. And it's time out for that, because this is not it's not just a national issue. It's going to impact us locally as well. And so this thing of reparations, it impacts the community that you live in. So it's bigger than just having him. When I say him, I'm talking about the guy. It's bigger than just having him give a slush fund to these radical individuals, is what I will call them right now. But we should be pushing the envelope to say no more studies. How long do we study slavery? We've been studying it for years. How many more studies do we need?
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guests, Dr. Kisha McCaskill and Dr. Ted Williams. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
After nearly 20 years in Congress, he knows how to get at the issues that matter the most to you. Every day, he takes a deep dive into politics, social justice, and the stories that shape our community. This is where prominent people unpack perplexing problems. Unfiltered, unapologetic, unmissable. You're inside the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. The Bears are standing by their plans to move out of Chicago despite comments from Black Mayor Brandon Johnson.
My hope has never been lost. That's why I have maintained my position that Chicago is the best location for the Bears.
In a statement, the team said it has explored every option to stay in the city, but has not found a viable site. The Bears say they are only considering Arlington Heights and Hammond, Indiana. A whites-only community in Arkansas is facing a federal discrimination lawsuit. Michelle Walker says she was denied the chance to buy land because she is part of a multiracial family. She's asking the court to block further housing discrimination and award damages. And Memphis, Tennessee police are celebrating their largest basic training graduating class in nearly a decade. More than 80 recruits graduated Thursday at Bellevue Baptist Church. Black Memphis Mayor Paul Young says the next class already has 140 recruits. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Recall 67A mobile appointments are now available in your area. We come to you quick, easy, and under an hour. Complete the recall to get $500 plus a warranty worth thousands. Schedule today at CummonsRecall.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Former Clippers guard James Harden wanted to be traded to a contender, and he got his wish when the Clippers sent him to Cleveland in February. Harden is in the Eastern Conference Finals with Cleveland, but the 36-year-old veteran has not looked good. In the first two games against New York, Harden has made only 11 of 35 shots, including 4 of 15 on three-pointers. His defense also has looked shaky. Harden was torched in the fourth quarter of Game 1 by Jalen Brunson, who scored 13 of his 38 in the final 7 minutes. All of those points came when Harden was trying to defend Brunson. The Cavs need a revival from Harden in Game 3 Saturday in Cleveland. Tonight at 6, it's your Friday night sports fix. Join me and my co-host Gil Scarborough for Out of Bounds in Prime Time. 60 minutes of sports chatter with some black folks flavor. You can join us on the KBLA YouTube channel or hit us up at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction,
backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for State Superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The midterm elections are upon us. It is voting season once again. Common Cause's motto is fighting for the democracy we deserve. In service of that goal, Common Cause puts its state and national policy expertise, massive network of grassroots supporters, and nonpartisan approach into action to strengthen our democracy against the challenges we face today. They work at every level of government on priorities that impact each of our lives, like defending the right to vote, limiting big money's influence on our elections, holding public officials accountable, and more. Common Cause is a nonpartisan grassroots organization dedicated to upholding the core values of American democracy. They seek to empower all people to make their voices heard in the political process. This election may be the most important one ever. If you'd like to make a donation or volunteer in service to the Constitution, please visit commoncause.org. That's commoncause.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download that.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest in this hour is none other than Dr. Kisha McCaskill. She's a Cook County Commissioner in Cook County, Illinois, advocating for the protection of our Voting Rights Act. Dr. Ted Williams, an educator, actor, author, who teaches political science at the City Colleges of Chicago. And this is Fat Meat Fridays with our creator, Gina Towns, recently graduated from Princeton Theological Seminary with a Master's of Arts in Theology, a political scientist in her own right with extraordinary capabilities and qualifications to help us project a message at this time. Gina, you had some thoughts during the break.
Absolutely. First, thank you for this conversation because I think that it is a very important one. And it led me to the thought process of when we think about disseminating information, who do we trust? Who do we trust as a community anymore? Who do we trust in our generation? Who does the generation after us, that being Gen Z, the millennials, even Gen Alpha, who will be coming of age to vote? Where do we get our information from? And how do we, when we allow people from outside of our community to bash people, we bash inside of our own community. So where is the trusted source? I know it's KBLA Talk 1580, download the app. However, how do we get around that when we are not in community necessarily anymore, and we are not in church the way that we were during the civil rights movement? When you think about making America great again, there's some things that we need to think about making great again as well. So I posed that question to the group.
I agree with you, Gina. Thank you for that. I am constantly lamenting the loss of community. I read in college a book called Bowling Alone by Robert Putnam, who talked about this loss of community as a whole in this country 30 years ago. And we have seen this sense of individualism really destroy our communities. It is this old phrase says, when white America gets a cold, black America gets pneumonia. And so as white communities have lost the sense of togetherness and unity and have pushed this notion of individualism as a byproduct of Darwinian capitalism, African Americans have suffered much more from it. And so I think we've got to continue to push. And I want to say this to our dear Dr. McCaskill. I agree with you. You said something earlier that I wanted to speak about. I agree with you in the sense of frustration around these studies. I happen, blessedly, I serve currently on the Illinois Reparations Commission, and we have done a 2-year study, right? And we have a lot of conversation about it. And I, like you, have felt the frustration. When I sat down and read through that study, however, it was the most exhaustive, specific study around the harms in this state, things that I consider myself educated, did not know. And I think that it helped to make a more significant case for what it is that we have to do, so that it is much more difficult for those who oppose us to come against us. I think you are right. Anyone with half a brain in this society understands what in the world has happened to us. But the reality is that I am excited that we have codified it in a way that people cannot argue. And I'm hopeful that that will help us ultimately. You and I both know that they will still attempt to, even with that data, to pull the story that has been happening to us for 400 years.
Dr. McCaskill?
I agree. When we look at what was being done in California, an 8-year study on reparations for Black people, and then to have Black people voted down. So when we began to look at everything from the Atlanta race riots, 06, we're looking at the Red Summer, we're looking at the Red Massacre, we're looking at the Tulsa Massacre. I mean, when we look at the plethora of issues and concerns that have happened over the years, it's like we cannot keep changing the goalposts. And I don't know if the studies are trying to encapsulate absolutely everything, but we need to start with something, because everyone else is receiving the reparations, and their reparations are a result of the fabric of Black people.
Yeah, and I agree with her. I don't know if we lost her for a second, but I want to say to her, I agree. You know, she made this point twice now. I think it's so powerful that this country does not exist with respect to liberty and democracy without us. The 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, the 15th Amendment. You know, I found the Supreme Court arguments around the 14th Amendment to be so fascinating. If you guys heard this birthright citizenship case just a couple months ago, and the Trump administration was arguing against birthright citizenship based on the idea that African Americans were the original intendant, that we were the original beneficiaries of this 14th Amendment right, suggesting that African Americans who had established domicile in the United States and had established loyalty to the United States were the ones this was intended for. So it's so funny to me and tragic that this administration can use our rights and our identity in this country when it benefits them to take away rights from someone else. And if that were the case, right, you think about this notion that African Americans were loyal to the country back in the 1800s, 1865. And if that's the case, why are you not rewarding and including those same people and their descendants in the promises of this country? You cannot have it both ways.
Ted, I have a theory. I have a theory. I have a theory that I want to ask Gina. I have a theory, and the theory is that African American history is such an integral part of the very fabric of the United States. Before the country was founded, before the Declaration of Independence, the writing of the Constitution, the addition of states to the Union, that simply by attacking that history, attacking African Americans, and attacking their progress, that is how you attack democracy. That's just how integral our story is to the creation of democracy. Gina?
Right, because when you look at the history of the country, everything that is of consequence, whether it is construction, deconstruction, Jim Crow, second Reconstruction, deconstruction, now Jim Crow Esquire. We do. You find that it is in response to the existence and the condition of Black people. It is to admit one slave state and a free state. It is to pass civil rights legislation that allows us to participate in the process. It is to give us land when the Emancipation Proclamation was read or not. To move to a sharecropper system instead of creating a situation where we could build generational wealth, and even where there was land owned for it to be taken for. So everything that you see when it comes to the 14th, and now as they attack the 15th Amendment, revolves around the history of Black people and their response to us here.
And to,
I'm sorry, Ted.
with that, if they dismantle our rights, it destroys everyone else's rights.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the central point right there, that you can knock out
That is
one
the point.
story, and that one story is so central to the idea of democracy that without that story, there simply isn't a republic to fight for. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. This is Fat Meat Fridays. Gina Towns, more when we come forward. Right here, our very special guest, Ted Williams and Dr. Kisha McCaskill. More when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I've been an emergency room nurse in Los Angeles County for 25 years. I've been there through every fire season, every outbreak, every earthquake. Every time Los Angeles needed us, the doctors and nurses of Los Angeles County showed up. And right now, I'm seeing another disaster coming. Trump's cuts to Los Angeles County's healthcare system are a public health crisis in the making. Medi-Cal, public hospitals, disaster preparedness are all at risk, but we can stop it. Measure ER fights back against these cuts. For a half a penny, we keep emergency rooms open, care within reach for working families, and doctors and nurses serving the communities we love. When you vote yes on Measure ER, you're not just voting for healthcare, you're voting for LA. Vote yes on Measure ER by June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Yes on ER, Restore Healthcare for Angelenos, sponsored by St. John's Community Health and Health Justice Action Fund. Ad committee top funder, St. John's Community Health.
Going to a World Cup match in LA this summer? Ditch the parking stress and ride Metro. With direct service from across LA County, it's the easy way to get there for just $1.75 each way.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for state superintendent of public instruction.
Backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for state superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
It's the Hello Summer Sale at Target. Now through Monday, say hello to 30% off select shorts and sandals, women's dresses and skirts too. Say hello to 30% off select Threshold bedding and bath. Oh, and hello 20% off sunscreen. Spray, stick, lotion, or mist. It keeps the sun fun. The Hello Summer Sale ends Monday, and it's only at Target, where getting summer ready is just one quick stop away. Restrictions apply.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., 833-746-9555. 833-746-9555. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It is Fat Meat Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. In our final segment, Gina, some thoughts about the week, some thoughts about the work that we've been doing this week on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
You know, in addition to good trouble, I'm going to think of something new to say, like good exhaustion. Because that's how I feel in some respects. I feel completely exhausted by the news, the things that happen daily in the news. I remember feeling this the last time this administration was in place, the exhaustion. And at the same time, because I believe that we are the people who do not shrink back. I agree with what Ted said when he held out that hope and that faith about who we are. And I know Dr. McCaskill, she is the busiest person that I know, and one of the most capable. And then there is your voice, Jesse, that we must have in this hour. And I do thank you for all of the work and research. But then there's the blessings that God has given to each one of you in your respective places. So yeah, I don't feel no ways tired, but I am.
You know, I just want to comment on this as we come towards the end of the show and leave Dr. Ted Williams an opportunity for his word of hope. Dr. McCaskill gave us one in the first hour. Whether we're paying attention to it or not, America is surrendering in Iran. We are on retreat. Donald Trump isn't willing to break the ceasefire. Iran is demanding almost everything that it wants to enter into a peaceful deal. This is an American defeat of tremendous proportions. And I think there are consequences to that as the American people, Dr. Williams, Dr. McCaskill, prepare to head to the polls. This unhinged presidency, as Gina properly stated, is exhausting. And now it comes at a great expense, only $1.8 billion in the form of a slush fund. At the height of the war, it came to the tune of $1 billion a day. And it is just deeply, deeply, deeply and profoundly troubling that America at this hour, whether we want to acknowledge or not, we're kind of on a pause in our exhaustion. America is surrendering in the Middle East. It is not going to get the deal ultimately, Dr. McCaskill, that it wants.
Yeah, and you know, and it's it kind of tickles me because when we entered into this thing, we had such an aggressive and dogmatic attitude about how we were going to pursue that war and how we were going to make them do things. And so now to see us have a quiet retreat when we were so emboldened going in.
I agree with her. Again, we are in a situation where, as you mentioned, to the tune of almost $1 billion a day, that we cannot keep up this level of international engagement. I think it is anti-American. It is anti-progress. And really, when you look at the founding fathers, George Washington, he was against foreign entanglements. Dr. King talked about the triplets of racism, militarism, and materialism. And so we are suffering from a arrogant, capricious, narcissistic government and leadership. And I can tell you that every dollar that we spend in the Middle East is one less dollar we have to spend on healthcare, housing, education in this country. And I just can't wait for it to end. I'm exhausted as well.
Ted, let me welcome Danielle to the Jesse Jackson Jr. program. We have a call just before the end of our show. Danielle? Daniel, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. I hope everyone is doing well on Fruitful Friday.
We are here, my brother. How are you?
There you go. Listen, we needed that laugh and smile. We need a little piece of alleviation after what our people and community continually goes through.
I appreciate the levity. I think you're right. You have a question, Daniel?
I did have a question prepared, but I can't read my own notes. Give me a minute or so, Jesse. I did dial in to just listen, but I also have a honor mode question prepared as well. That's my personal infrastructure for us recognizing what's going on with us, looking at the man in the mirror before we move forward or pivot outwards.
Mm-hmm. I'm grateful that you've called in. I'm not so sure that we have enough time to wait for a minute for you to find the question, but I hope you'll keep our number 833-746-9555 as we continue to work through the kinks of the technology that we are honored now to have on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We are
Where are
going
you
to
calling from, Daniel?
Oh, Gina?
Yes, I'm calling from, believe it or not, sunny Orlando, Florida. And actually, I found my notes. I just had to turn to the correct page. For the panel, anyone can answer this question. What does real leadership look like when the pressure is on to either choose between the public conviction and the private compromise?
Dr. Williams?
Wow, what a profound question. As our sort of North Star in this work, Dr. King said that we need leadership that is in love with people and service rather than profit. And we need leaders who are not committed to their own personal advancement. I think leadership rises to the top. I don't think true leaders seek position. I think position goes after true leaders and it comes to them. And the reality is that, you know, every one of us, as we know theologically, we all sin and fall short of the glory of God, but we press forward to be authentic, to do the work that is called for us to do. And I'm going to tell you, there is no change without sacrifice. There's no progress without us giving up things. And right now we are in a season where it is going to take that kind of leadership from the top all the way through. There's no one person that can do it, by the way. We're all needed to have that kind of conviction.
Gina?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree with Ted. I think what Daniel is also alluding to is that there are some of our leaders, and I'm not just talking about within our community, I'm talking about the entirety of our government, where we wonder where this person has been, where their voice is, and what your entanglement is that you can't speak up for the people. When we heard you 20 years ago speak up, what have you been doing over the past 20 years that softens your voice or either eclipses it altogether? So, yeah, I do think that, you know, we need to almost don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Let's keep our Constitution. Let's keep our amendment process. But let's hold people accountable where they need to be held accountable. And let's not have double standards for one set of people in office and another either.
Dr. McCaskill, we want you to know here at the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, we love you very much.
Thank you. I agree with both Gina and Ted. You said it. I don't think I have anything to add to it, because leadership is one, you need to love the people that you represent, but you need to move fearlessly. I think so often we are so concerned with protecting our own agendas in some of our elected seats that we're not willing to put ourselves out for the people that actually put us in the seat to begin with. So that level of energy and that level of unapologetic tenacity to actually get in the fight and stay in the fight.
Dr. Ted Williams, we love you very much on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Well, I love you guys as well. And I choose to have hope because of folks like you and the people you bring on. We will continue to go forward in faith, hope, and love. I think that's the only choice that we have. And I have seen some really dark days in my life and in this country. But I know that, as I said earlier, trouble don't last always, that there's always a storm before we see the sunshine and the growth. And I think we're in that season. I think on the other side, there's going to be some phenomenal growth, and I can't wait.
I also want to take this opportunity to thank Gina Towns for the creation of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and the evolution of our show that includes our latest technological effort to reach out to people and allow them to participate in our conversations. We will be off this coming Friday. In fact, this coming Monday on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. In fact, all of our cast will be off in commemoration of Memorial Day. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show until Tuesday. It will be tenacious right here at KBLA Talk 1580.